Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome to the Finance Rebel Show. This is our wealthy conversations that we do every Saturday at noon. So every Saturday at noon, we talk about a topic. Sometimes I bring on guests. Sometimes I'm here solo dolo. Today I'm here solo dolo, but we are going to talk about tax plans. In particular, the Biden tax plan versus the Trump tax plan. Trust me, I will try my best not to put you all to sleep, have you all in the comatose over looking at this boring stuff. I know everybody thinks taxes are boring. Nobody really pays attention to taxes. But here's the thing. If you're serious about becoming wealthy, if you are serious about up-leveling your finances, if you are serious about your money, you have to be in tune with what's going on with your taxes or what could potentially go on with your taxes. Why? Because taxes, as I estimated, and some other folks who are smarter than me have estimated, taxes are probably your biggest expense over your lifetime. Anywhere from 20 to almost 50% of the money that you make a lot of times goes into taxes. So you have to be really serious. You have to be really serious about taxes. I'm not saying you got to make it your life's work. I'm not saying you got to be, obsessed with it, but you got to at least understand it and understand what's coming down the pike. Why? All right. Like I said, 20 to 50%, easy, right? The average federal income tax rate is about 25%. In my state here in Pennsylvania, tax rate is 3.7%. All right. So now we're already at 28%. If you live in a local municipality like I do, I'm outside of Philadelphia, there's an additional about 3.5%. So right there between those three taxes, we're north of 30% just on those three. We're not talking about real estate tax, gas tax, cell phone tax, or any of those other taxes that add to that burden. Now, today I'm not talking about if taxation is legal. Y'all leave that to everybody else, because all I know is that when you don't pay your taxes, you can get sent to jail. I ain't got time for jail. If you look like me, you shouldn't have time for jail. And so, we're going to be prosperous and continue to make more money so we can pay our tax burdens and be prosperous and go on. All right. So before we get going, do me a favor, share this out. Share this out to anybody who is serious about understanding money more easily, because that's what I'm all about here. Making it easy, making it simple, understanding the importance of it. And, there's not a lot of people like us that actually talk about this stuff. So got over 20 years of experience. I don't know what's going on today, y'all. I need to clear my throat. Excuse me. Over 20 years of experience between accounting and tax and actual institutional investing, meaning that I used to work on Wall Street and invest for folks on Wall Street. So I bring all that knowledge to bear to y'all for y'all to take advantage of and up level your financial IQ. So that's what we're doing here, looking to help folks in our community increase their overall financial IQ. So again, we're going to start the show off today. Just want to say hello to everybody that's in the room. Leo Lady, how are you? Butterfly Diva asked the question already. Will there be a side note on that payroll tax deferment? Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit. And Empress Empress Sans is here. Happy birthday to Empress Sans. So everybody tell Empress Sans LLC happy birthday. Zach, how are you? Welcome. Yolanda Mobley, what's up, FLC? Bobcat, how you doing? Welcome. Checking in with my my YouTube and Facebook folks. I don't know what's going on today. Adrian, how are you? Welcome. Teresa Johnson, yes, you like the Spellman shirt? All right, I got a whole story about the Spellman shirt. Give me a second and I'll tell it to y'all. Don Johnson, how are you? Tiffany Thompson, how are you? Melanated Allen, how are you? Katisa, welcome. Y'all, listen, happy Saturday to everybody. Remember, every day that you're born, every day that you can breathe, see, walk, touch, feel, smell, and eat is a blessing. So never forget that, folks. All right, so before I get into the meat of the show, because y'all know I like to do my rundown, talk about the stocks of the week, talk about what's going on before we get to Trump and Biden's tax plan. The Spellman shirt, right? I got the Spellman shirt on. I got the matching hat. I'll tell you why I got this on. This ain't my shirt. This is my wife's shirt. Here's the deal, though. Every time I buy something, if I buy a sweatshirt from one of my favorite Black-owned businesses, guess who gets it? Guess who steals it? My wife steals it. So since my wife steals my stuff, and today she was teasing me about how she, feels entitled to steal the stuff that I work hard for, that I sweat my blood, sweat and tears for, that she just feels again so entitled to take. I just so happened to come across this beautiful sweatshirt. Now, listen, y'all all know I am an HBCU wannabe. I wish I could have went to an HBCU. And so I'm kind of doing something. I'm buying merch from all the HBCUs one at a time, not all at the same time. I don't have that much money. Last purchase was Howard. The one before that was Jackson State University. So for me, it's another way of supporting Black businesses or Black institutions. But getting back to my wife, she just stole my stuff. So she left this out. She left it out, right? She was vulnerable. So I took advantage. So I copped it, put it on. I was like, oh, I'm borrowing this. I might even keep this. So listen, y'all, don't none of y'all report me to the local authorities. I guess this could be considered theft. But listen, no snitching, right? We don't snitch on our peoples that are trying to do righteous things. So I just want her to feel what it feels like to have your stuff taken. And since this is a man's shirt, cut, fits me well, looks good. I love light blue. The contrast with the blue and the white outlines. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Oh, so Miss Adrian says, what's yours is hers, right? Okay, but what about the reverse? What about the reverse? What's hers is mine. I thought that was part of the whole matrimony there. No? Yes? What do y'all think? Y'all tell me what y'all think. Melanated Alton says, oh, you went to Norfolk and Hampton, you? Okay. Don Johnson says, that is the life of a married man. Yeah, basically we get abused and stolen from all the time. Listen, what my man David Arnold said, the comedian, I love his stuff. He said, marriage is not for the weak. It's not for the weak. Happy Saturday, Riley. I got your email, Riley. Let's talk about it, but I think I will be open to it. Tiffany says, Tiffany, how are you? I'm here now, still on my TV. Are you watching me on TV? Oh man, I feel like a superstar now. Got my HBCU gear on. So that's great. That's great. Melody Allen says afternoon. Yep, afternoon to you as well. Happy Saturday, like, shared, and got you on my smart TV. Oh man, Tiffany, you're gonna blow my head up. You're gonna make me think I'm a superstar or something. I appreciate you all though. But yeah, Adrian, that's not funny. That's not funny. Like, she gets me all the time. All these years of matrimony, I have been oppressed, y'all. I have been stolen, almost like I enslaved folks. And it ain't a joke. Can I get some of my stuff back? But check this out. So when I showed it, right, I did a video, shot it, sent it to her. Like, oh, look what I found. Look what I found. She didn't see the video. When she got home, now shout out to the wife. She brought me some coffee. All right. When she got home, I snuck up on her and I showed her, like, look what I got. She was like, all big-eyed. And she was like, no, you didn't. And I said, yes, I did. Yes, I did. And she literally started having a temper tantrum, y'all. Literally. Like, why you got my stuff on? You going to stretch it out. So, listen, turnabout is fair play, y'all. Anyway, it's all in good fun. It's to represent the HBCUs. By the way, I'm going to talk about this soon, but I'm going to put this quick thought out and then we're going to get to business. When you look at HBCU fund endowments, they're sad. A lot of times we're not contributing to HBCUs. Folks that went to HBCUs, the actual official alums, and those that are like me, the official wannabe HBCU alums, right? If these are institutions that are our institutions that help our children in our community, we got to support them. So one of the things we really need to be doing is thinking about how we can support HBCUs and potentially give to their endowment funds, because endowment funds help them do better by the students that are there. And again, if we're talking about community and raising mindsets and talking about wealth, that's something we got to talk about. Maybe that'll be a topic for the Black Wealth Project, or maybe we'll do it in both places. But either way, either way, that's something we got to talk about because I want to say there's less than 10 billion. 10 billion. Don't quote me on that. I got to look it back up. But there's less than 10 billion in the combined top 20 HBCUs. I looked it up years ago. They didn't have a lot of money, and they had some problems because of the Great Recession when the market crashed previously. But again, we should be putting, more money contributing to those endowment funds and just contributing to the institutions overall. We got to get serious about that, y'all. Tiffany says ladies have no gender. So Tiffany, whose side are you on? Sounds like you're on my wife's side. All right. Just wearing a shirt, I share you with my Spelman sisters. All right. Absolutely. Now I'm a tease my wife because you probably shared it in one of the groups she's in. Yep, I got her. All right, but seriously, let's get to business, y'all. Let's get to business. So listen, the S&P 500 closed at 3,269. All right, it was down 5.6% this week, right? We've seen the markets were down. The markets are crazy this week. Year to date, the S&P is up 1.21%. Now, if y'all remember last week, the S&P was up over 7%. Now, remember, S&P 500 is just the 500 largest companies traded, publicly traded in the market. So just keep that in mind. All right, oil is at 35.72, down 6% on the week. Oil is down 36.92% year to date. So oil is still getting mollywopped, still getting his butt handed to, again, because economic activity has not really sped up at all. People aren't really riding plane, trains, and automobiles. However, I did see this week that the CDC is going to allow cruises. So y'all let me know. Are y'all ready to go on a cruise yet? Y'all ready to go out on the open sea with, I don't know, anywhere from 500 to a couple thousand people stuck on a boat in the middle of the water? I don't know about that one, y'all. I think I would pass. All right, so gold closed at $1,878 this week. All right, down 1.5% for the week. However, gold's still up. Year to date, 21.4%. So gold's still up 21.4%. Now, if you look at all of these factors, when we talk about the markets, and we talk about stocks and investing, you see there's a bit of a correlation here, right? So the S&P 500 dropped by almost 6%. Oil dropped by almost 6%. Gold did not drop by 6% or close to 6%, but it did drop. So they all dropped. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at your investment selections. Look to see what, this is a techie word, right? What the correlation is. Do the stocks move when they zig? There's, let's say, two stocks in there, right? Microsoft and Apple. Does one zig when the other is zagging? Now, Microsoft and Apple will probably zig and zag at the same time. Very similar industry. They're affected by very similar things in the overall economic cycle. So, keep that in mind when one zigs. You want to have things that zig and zag at different time points. That's what the real point of diversification is. So just keep that in mind when you're picking your overall stock selections or any investments, right? That's one of the reasons why I do like real estate, right? Many people think I don't like real estate, but actual real estate, it doesn't have the same market forces impacting it, right? So it's not, when you own physical real estate, when you're investing in physical real estate, it doesn't move in the same way the market moves. But y'all know I am still more of a stock market fan because you can make more money sitting on your couch and not being worried about your tenants. And I guess maybe I might be living through my trauma as well. Shout out to Courtney, the Ivy investor, y'all. She said that to me the other day. We're talking about something else though. But, I've had a lot of experiences when I was a property manager, managed about 50 doors, and I've got war stories. And so I don't necessarily want to do that no more. I'm not really interested. But at some point, I probably will jump back into the market when things are right and I got all my ducks in a row. But, again, keep that in mind, y'all. You want to get investments that don't always move lockstep with one another. All right. So listen, big story of the week, and I want to put this up on the screen for everybody. Big story of the week is Netflix. So Netflix reported earnings on the 20th, right? That wasn't this week, that was last week. But I just want to talk about this first real quick, because just to give the overall context before we get to our main story, again, the Trump tax plan versus the Biden tax plan. So do me a favor, y'all, everybody who's watching, do me a favor, share this out with all of those who are concerned about their wealth, looking to build wealth, wanting to increase their overall understanding of finances and just money education overall. So I wanted to pull this up because I wanted to talk about Netflix, how much money they've been making. So Netflix on the 20th, right? They made, where was it at? They were estimated to make 6.38 billion, right? But the business actually earned 6.44 billion. All right. So they exceeded expectations. And y'all know the other day I kind of explained how analysts set the tone for Wall Street. All right. So then it said, so they made, again, they did 6.44 billion. All right. So now I want to talk about the moves that they made this week. So Netflix made a move this week, and I found it to be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Did anybody see the move that Netflix made this week? I'm going to put that on the screen as well. But basically, Netflix actually increased their prices, or they're about to increase their prices. Now, I'm a Netflix fan. I've been a Netflix fan since they came out. I'm a movie buff, so I was getting Netflix CDs like when they first started. But I found this interesting because, again, Netflix raises prices on standard and premium plans. I just thought, again, I thought that was interesting because we're in the middle of a pandemic and they are raising prices. I've seen other companies slash prices. All right, so shares on Netflix were up nearly 4% on the price change. So investors got happy about that. Before settling later in the day, in the evening. Netflix on Thursday raised the prices of its standard and premium plans to $13.99 and $17.9. What am I saying now? $17.99 per month. All right. So they increased their plans. The basic plan is still $8.99. All right. So they just talked about what they're doing. So they increased it by $4. They increased the premium by $4. And again, other companies are lowering their prices a lot of times. And here this company is already profitable, still raising their prices. Now, there's a big content war going on. When you look at Netflix, you got Netflix, you have YouTube, you have HBO and HBO Max, you got Hulu, you got all these companies now competing for the streaming content platform customers. Oh, and you got Disney Plus. As a family, we watched The Mandalorian last night. It's pretty good. If anybody hasn't watched The Mandalorian as part of the Star Wars, I don't want to call it a trilogy because it's not. Star Wars isn't even a trilogy anymore. It's got like a gazillion films, but it's kind of one of their side spinoffs. But it's actually pretty good. So my youngest son, made us all watch it. So that was pretty cool. So again, here we are in the middle of a pandemic. They just raised prices. Anybody give me a guess why they would do that? Obviously, for more profit, right? But outside of that, why would Netflix raise their price? Why do you think? What do you think that's about? Anybody? All right, so while I'm waiting for y'all to chime in, I'm going to answer a couple questions. So Melanie Allen says, is it simple to give to endowment funds? Yeah, Alan, it really is. I'm sure there is a way to do it. You should contact Norfolk and Hampton and say, hey, I want to put a couple of dollars in the fund. And even if it's not just the endowment fund, just overall general budget, you can subscribe to that. Again, technically, I am a graduate of Temple University by way of community college. I always forget to mention community college. Community colleges are actually very, very important. and they made a way for me to be able to matriculate or move over to a university. So, I was able to go to Temple, but Temple calls me all the time. I'm sure there is a fundraising and charitable arm that reaches out to their alumni to solicit donations and givings. All right, so Christopher Allen says, how you doing, Christopher Allen? I don't think I spoke to you yet, so good morning. Well, happy Saturday. He says to capture projections. Yes, to a certain degree. There's definitely, Riley says to create added value. More people are home because of the pandemic. Netflix is providing original content not found on any platform. As more competitors come to the market, yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I think I missed one. To create value as more competitors come to the market. Yes. So it looks like that. So, Riley, I think you're correct, right? So I believe Netflix is looking to generate more money so they can fight this battle a little bit better, because it seems like everything that they have done is to put their profits back into content. They spend enormous amounts of money on content generation. Many people think it's foolish, but I don't really see any other way around it, because they're spending billions and billions of dollars annually on generating content. And I don't really see any other way around it, because again, they have to compete. You're going up against Google. You're going up against HBO, which is Time Warner. You're going up against Apple, right? Which is Apple. So, they got to come with their guns blazing. They got to be ready. They got to be sharp. All right. So Mark Dane says more people are home. Right. Netflix is providing original content. Yes. Absolutely, sir. Thanks for joining us. When you pay more for something, you believe it's more valuable. Well, yeah, a lot of times that is. So you're going into overall consumer psychology. I was just kind of coming from it from an investor standpoint, but yeah, you are correct usually. However, it also presents a challenge for them, a potential risk, because Disney Plus is still $4.99 or $6.99. I forget exactly which price it is. It's one of those two. So, when you think about that, I would believe that they're going to funnel more money into content creation and production. So they should be coming out with some more bangers very shortly. Don Johnson says increase their price. They're adding so much content. It's a smart move. I'm still a little bit betwixt in between if I think it's a smart move or not. I think they're testing the waters. But again, a lot of people won't balk at $4, right? So they moved it a little bit. And so they could easily back away from that $4 to say maybe a $2 increase if too many people balk. But I'm not totally sure yet. All right, Melanie Alton asks, Market Beat. I've never heard of that site, but saw you were looking at it to review Netflix. I had to check them out. Yeah, that's not an endorsement for Market Beat, but yes, you can check them out. I don't really endorse any platforms per se. I just Googled and tried to come up with it, and I didn't. I would have went into my brokerage account, but I didn't feel like putting in all those codes and stuff. All right, so all right, hold on. I got a couple more comments on this, and then we're going to move on to the topic at hand. We got that one already. So Adrian says Netflix and Roku are stocks I should have bought years ago. Yeah, shoulda, coulda, woulda. But guess what? Today is the day. Today is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice. Right? So you can buy today or on Monday. So Melanie Alton says, well, when they lost subs after the Cuties movie, I didn't even see that movie. In September, they needed to recoup. They took a hit when that movie dropped. Okay. I think I missed that movie. But all right. So, again, I think that's interesting. Like I said, I'm actually a fan of the Netflix business model. When you study Netflix and you see how they knocked Blockbusters, trying to think of the company that preceded them, Blockbusters out of the box. They did a lot of genius things. By the way, did anybody know that Blockbusters could have brought Netflix and they passed? So when you look at these companies, their whole education and them, a whole business education, and I mean, you could really learn a lot just by going through a company's history. And there's a couple of podcasts that actually talked about that. At some point, I'm going to do a podcast episode and share with y'all some of my favorite podcasts. But all right, folks, listen, moving right along to the main topic. All right. So listen, like I said, I'm going to do my best to be objective. All right. I got my information from an objective source. All right. So there's, no shenanigans, but you already know who I'm rocking with. Y'all already know that. I'm sure y'all know that. Y'all know that, right? I don't think there's no other way to go, even with money or money aside, taxes aside. So I'm going to pull this up real quick. You are watching the Finance Rebel Show. This is a quick reminder. You're watching the Finance Rebel Show. My name is Kamari Ellis. Every week, 2 times a week at a minimum, 2 times a week, I am here on Wednesdays and Saturdays talking to you about money, helping to make the understanding of money a lot easier. A lot of us complain that taxes should have been taught in school, investment should have been taught in school. Well, it hasn't. I don't actually agree with that sentiment, but we can talk about that later. But I'm here. So do me a favor, share this out to people who want to know. And by the way, it's all free. I don't charge you guys anything. So let's check this out. So I went to Bloomberg. Actually, one of my homegirls, one of my accounting sisters, shared this with me. And so it was funny. The other day I told y'all I was going to do a review. And I was thinking about not doing it. But I said that I promised to do it with y'all. So let's see. How can I make this full screen? That didn't work. But again, I wanted to make sure I did it because I promised you all that I would do it. All right. So I got this from Bloomberg. Now, Bloomberg at one point, and I think they still are, was the biggest news organization in the world. I still believe they're the biggest news organization in the world. And they have a whole tax research department. And so I trust Bloomberg as an objective source. And like I said, I wanted to talk to you all about this being objective because I've seen a lot of memes floating around. A lot of people saying that Biden's going to crush folks with taxes. Sadly, y'all, many of us do not pay attention to detail. We do not get into nuance. We just kind of go with what's on the headline. And actually, that's very harmful. So, and doing my part in the revolution, we're going to do a deep dive into some of the details, right? So again, the presidential candidate's position on taxes, all right? So Bloomberg went through, parsed all the numbers and kind of gave us the nuts and bolts of everything. So on the left here, we have the current plan. We're looking at individual taxes. It's going to go through a couple of things. I'm not going to go through everything because I don't think everything's going to be relevant for everyone. I don't think everyone is going to be interested in everything. But, again, just going to go through the nuts and bolts. So we have a clear picture of what's going to happen. Now, Election Day is Tuesday. I want you all to remember that these are plans. These are promises. It doesn't necessarily mean these things are actually going to come to fruition or actually come to real life, because to actually put a tax plan through, you need the act of Congress to make it possible, and or an executive order. All right. So just real quick before I go through everything, just want to say hello to everyone. Shani, how are you? Mr. Ernest, how are you? I can't check my text messages, Mr. Ernest. I'm broadcasting live. You already know the answer to my vote. By the way, y'all, Mr. Ernest has me doing PABJ business. I am the treasurer of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, which is a chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists, NABJ. All right, so Leo Lady said, "Mum's the words, snitching here." Yeah, no snitching. God wins. How are you? How are you? All right, so let's get into this tax plan. All right, so let's start here. Individual taxes. Where are we at right now? So we have 7 tax brackets. The lowest tax bracket is 10%. Then you have 12%, 22%, 24%, 32%, 35%, 37%. 37% is the highest tax bracket. And so what we have here in the United States is what they call is kind of progressive tax system. So there's different levels. You can actually think of them as stair steps. So at the first stair step, there's usually an income range. I don't know what it is. I should have had that, but it is an income range. So at that range, when you make less than, let's say, $15,000, you're paying either 0 to or maybe 10% tax. And then at the next step, you might pay 12%. And then next step, you pay 22%, then 24%. Now, there's all kinds of loopholes. And by the way, we're only talking about federal law here. We're not talking about any local law or anything like that. So, at every step, the more money you make, the more taxes you have to pay, potentially. Also, though, the more money you make, a lot of times, the more loopholes or tax write-offs you are eligible for as well. All right. So Donald Trump is considering a 10% middle class tax cut. Otherwise, a fiscal year 2021 budget would extend the 2017 TCJA. So TCJA is Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. So that is the tax program that Donald Trump got through Congress and Senate, or the House and Senate, and put into law. That's what we currently are operating in now. And what they're talking about will extend some of the provisions in the Tax Cut and Jobs Act are set to sunset, or what they call expire. So you're going to see kind of that language, right? So some things will be made permanent and some things won't. Joe Biden wants to increase the top rate back to 39.6%. All right, because that's where it was at before. And the Trump administration pushed to have it lowered to 37%. All right, taxpayers making more than $400,000 will see taxes increase. All right, that's clear. I've been seeing a lot of interesting comments about that, though. The majority of citizens in the United States make less than $400,000. Let's say maybe 1% or 0.5% of them make above than $400,000 in income. Not worth, not net worth, but income every year. Okay. So when we look here, again, we're still talking about individual taxes. Again, as it relates to top rates, we're talking about capital gains, right? What is capital gains? Capital gains is when you sell an asset. An asset can be a stock, it can be real estate, it could be a business, it could be a car. It could be anything that's considered, again, an asset. So the top rate on capital gains rate right now is 20%. That also will depend based upon how much income you make. Now, when you look here, the next line here, and I'm all the way at the left under current law, it says net investment income tax adds 3.8% rates to households earning over $250,000 for joint filers, and for people that make individuals, single people that make $200,000. So you typically have to pay an additional 3.8% on any asset you sold that made money, that made profits. If you sold an asset and you actually lost money on it, you can be able to write that off, usually up to $3,000. And it also depends on what kind of asset it is. So sometimes you can write the whole thing off. All right. So taxpayers in the 10 and 12% bracket pay $100. So if you're a crafty, right? So let's say you make over $250,000, but you know how to utilize the tax system legally, you know how to leverage it legally, you could actually wind up paying no taxes if you did most of your money if you made most of your money through capital gains rates. All right. Taxpayers may elect to defer recognition of and avoid recognition of future appreciation related to capital gains, right? Again, there's all kinds of loopholes. So when you are using capital gains or getting capital gains, you are investing. In order to really take advantage of the tax system, you have to invest through a business, through real estate, through stocks, through something. All right. So, here's Donald Trump's plan. He's seeking to cut capital gains rate by executive action. So that's an executive order. So he wants to cut capital gains rates to a maximum of 15%. So he wants to drop the top rate by 5% if reelected. He's doing it by executive action because he knows he can never get that through Congress. All right. Would consider indexing capital gains to inflation, meaning that the tax may go up based on inflation, could go down if inflation decreases. So if inflation goes up, the tax could go up. If it goes down, the tax could go down. And then otherwise, everything will kind of stay in place in accordance to the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act passed 2025. All right. Tax. So Biden again, tax at top ordinary rate, 39.6% for taxpayers with over 1 million in income. Will reform opportunity zones. Now, I said I'm going to be biased. I mean, I'm not going to be biased, but I'm going to give you my opinion in certain things. Everybody that's touting opportunity zones don't really realize it's just another way to auction off the hood to rich people. It's another way to auction off the hood to the 1%. So just keep that in mind. And so Biden, now because opportunity zones is already written into the tax code. And so Biden is looking to incentivize opportunity zones to partners with nonprofits. So Biden's trying to make it so that the people that come through and that want to work in these opportunity zones are going to partner with people who are actually in the communities. Had to come here, want to be able to, again, partner with people that are in the hood, in the communities that have boots on the ground, that will actually impact it. Because the way the law is written now, it's straight an extraction play. And Biden didn't come up with this, so I just want to be clear, right? He's just dealing with the law that's already in hand. All right, so community benefit plan with each investment with a focus on creating jobs for low-income residents and otherwise providing a direct financial impact to households within the opportunity zone. That's right, because the people in the opportunity zones are not going to people, again, the people living in the opportunity zones are not going to be the people who are going to benefit the most from this. All right. So directing that opportunity zones benefit be reviewed by the Department of Treasury to ensure that these tax benefits are only being allowed where they are clear economic, social, and environmental benefits to a community, and not just high returns like those for luxury apartments or luxury hotels to investors. All right, introducing transparency by requiring recipients of opportunity zones tax breaks to provide detailed reporting and public disclosure on their opportunity zones. So basically there, he's saying he doesn't want them to kind of hide the profits, which a lot of companies do because they don't want people mad at them. All right. So when you think about this, I think that's a good thing. But Donald Trump didn't have any revisions to opportunities zones at all. Biden's at least addressing it. So, I think that's good. Now, what is an opportunity zone? Typically, an opportunity zone, again, are places in urban areas typically that need redevelopment. They need a way to get they need a way to get capital into these communities so we can get revitalization. Sadly, there's not a whole lot of money being allocated to underserved communities so they can be revitalized. So opportunity zones is one way, right? So if you can take money from something you made and it will be tax-free for 10 years. That's kind of the short and easy version of it all. So to be tax-free for 10 years. So if you can defer paying taxes for 10 years on something you made $1 million on or $1 billion on, that can be a great thing. That can be a really great thing. All right. But again, you got to recognize who is it meant to benefit. Only those who have big money to do development, only those who have access to capital. So, just keep that in mind as you think about this, as you look at these. Now, sadly, when we see these memes floating around, these memes only hit at high level points. I love the memes. I think they're hilarious. I make some from time to time, but I'm terrible at them. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm always looking at the nuance and the complexity of a situation. I can't help it. That's the way God made me. So, some of the best jokes are 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, 8 words max a lot of times, or the punchline. There might be some setup, but it's hard to kind of convey the importance of what's going on here. It's hard to convey the actual, the impact of what's going on a lot of times in some of these memes. Some of them get it dead on though. All right. All right. So here we're talking about the wealth tax. There's been a lot of talk about the wealth tax. I want to say Elizabeth Warren first started talking about it a few years ago, and then it got kind of hot and heavy these last couple of years, especially during this last presidential cycle. All right, so current law, there's no taxation on accumulation of wealth. IRS is required to assess the net worth of the wealthiest individuals when they pass away. That's talking about estate tax. I want to say the estate tax threshold is 11 million. It's either 5 million or 11 million. I'm getting my numbers confused this morning. All right. Donald Trump has no proposed wealth tax. Joe Biden does not particularly support the wealth tax. All right. All right. Talking about child incentives. Earned income credit. Earned income credit is a refundable personal credit available for any eligible individual who is a qualifying child. All right. I don't think y'all can see that. Let me blow that back up. Who is a qualifying child for the tax year, or any eligible individuals without children who satisfy certain conditions, right? So typically when you don't make a whole lot of money and you have children, you can get some incentives from the government, some money incentives for the government called earned income taxes. If you're from where I'm from, you see everything. Everybody goes shopping around tax season time. They buy some furniture, they buy some clothes. I talked about the cruise lines open up. People start to make their deposits on the cruises in the spring and summer. So it is an economic stimulus. And again, underserved communities, sadly, a lot of times that money disappears into frivolous things that does not appreciate in value. They will not be able to benefit for it for years and years and years. They're just able to benefit from it that one time in that season, during tax season. All right. So Donald Trump is proposing child incentives for fiscal year 2021. Budget would extend TCJA, tax jobs and cuts, provisions past 2025, and would require a valid Social Security number for work in order to claim certain tax credits. So if you do not have a Social Security number, you cannot get earned income credit. Again, if you have a Social Security number, you cannot get earned income credit. So that's speaking directly to some of the illegals and even some of the legal residents that are here, illegal aliens or nationals that are here. Joe Biden, however, is proposing to expand EITC again, which is earned income credit, to older workers, right? Expand dependent care to $8,000. Families will get back a tax credit as much as half of the spending on childcare. That's interesting. All right, under age 13 for childcare. That's where it is now, but he's talking about adding more money for one child. So $8,000 for one child, $16,000 for another. The tax credit will be refundable. So again, not to get too technical, y'all, you have two types of tax credits. Some are refundable and some are not. Some just reduce your overall tax bill, but you can't get the money back in the form of a check or direct deposit. It will only reduce your tax bill. For example, let's say you owed $1,000 and you got a tax credit that was worth $2,000, and it's a non-refundable tax credit. So if it's a non-refundable tax credit, it would only wipe out the $1,000. The other $1,000 part of that credit is gone. You're not going to get it. It just helps to wipe out your tax bill. So you walk away clean with not owing any money. However, you won't get any money from the government. Earned income tax doesn't do that. It is a refundable credit. So let's say you owed $1,000 when you were getting $2,000 and earned income tax credit. It would wipe out your $1,000 bill, and then you would get that $1,000 back again as a direct deposit or a check. Hopefully none of you all are doing any of the rapid refunds or rapid anticipation loans that are out there. They're a waste. They cost way too much money. But that's not about the tax bill. So let me get back on track. So the full 50% reimbursement will be available to all families making less than $125,000. That's interesting. All families making between $125,000 and $400,000 will receive a partial credit, ensuring that in no case they will get less than they are available for today. So he's talking about expanding the earned income tax credit, which could definitely help those who are at the lower end of the income range. But even at $125,000, that can be really good unless you got like 5 kids in the household, because they're going to eat you out of house and home. All right. Credits and deductions. Taxpayers are allowed to take eligible deductions. They're talking about SALT here. What is SALT? SALT is state and local taxes. Inside of state and local taxes is real estate tax. A lot of people got hurt with this introduction of SALT. Again, because especially if you live in some of these blue states have higher income taxes because they tend to have higher income earning folks. Many other blue states have higher educational levels. New Jersey, New York, California. As a result of that, they tend to demand higher salaries a lot of times. And as a result of that, property prices have gone up or are higher than the national average, much higher usually than the red states. So it's really easy to exceed the SALT limit, which is $10,000. So again, that accounts for your real estate tax, your state and your local tax. And if you are husband and wife and you make, I don't know, let's say 60 grand a piece, that's $120,000 for the year. And you pay 5% each of you, that's almost 10 grand right now. And then you add on top of that the real estate taxes you might have on your home, that's a couple grand. So you miss out on a lot of that. All right. So Trump is proposing to keep it the same. Biden is talking about estimated deductions at 20%. And then he said restore incomes and end the SALT cap. So he's saying the cap itemized deductions at 20% of a person's income. All right, student loan. So loan forgiveness is generally included in income unless an exclusion occurs. I know there's some loan forgiveness, but the way they're making it seem now is like it's pretty wide open. I need to research that deeper. So Trump is proposing the budget will extend in 2017, supports passage of school choice legislation that would spend $5 billion a year on tax credits for donations to private school scholarships. Okay. Biden is proposing student loans will be canceled tax-free after borrowers have been enrolled in an income-based repayment plan for 20 years. I don't like either one of those. Can we get a fresh slate now? I'm joking. I'm gonna skip through some of these because I don't think a lot of these are relevant to a lot of the audience. This one here though is cryptocurrency. A lot of people are hot to trot about crypto. We are definitely moving to a more digital currency friendly environment. It's still not widely adopted, but I think it's coming. Just don't know when. Don't know how full bore it will be either. But it's going to be an issue, and the IRS is beginning to crack down on many folks in the cryptocurrency space because a lot of them were not paying tax on the money they were making off of crypto. And that's why the IRS and the government kind of busted Coinbase and got all their client records. So virtual currencies, the current law right now, virtual currencies are treated as property for tax purposes. The IRS requires taxpayers to report on their Form 1040 if they own virtual currencies or not. So yes, there is a box on the Form 1040 to see if you actually are indeed a crypto owner. I strongly encourage everybody to make sure you check that box because they're trying to see how honest folks are. All right, so Trump says he's not a fan. He's not a fan. Biden says he's got no plans for it right now. So I think both of them are definitely lacking in that area. They need to be thinking about it. They're definitely thinking about it because the Federal Reserve is actually looking at creating a digital dollar. So I think they might not be very forthcoming in that, or they just wanted to kind of not say much and let it fly under the radar because sadly, again, people don't read laws. And even when these journalistic organizations and research organizations put out this research, they don't read it either. All right. So again, transaction law, there's no tax entering a financial transaction because that was another law that was put on there. If you buy stocks, sell stocks, or any of those things, when you buy and sell, there should be some type of transaction law. All right. So no tax entering into a financial transaction such as buying and selling, right? There's none. Trump didn't address it. Biden supports it. All right. So Biden supports that. That is going to be targeted at those who invest. That's part of the tax code that I always tell you. The people who invest, the people who start businesses, the people who are into real estate get most of the tax benefits here. Biden has said, he wants to try to make the playing field more level. So they're putting that into play. All right. This is about 18 pages, y'all. This thing is about 18 pages. If everybody is following along, Let me know. I hope I'm not losing anyone. Definitely don't want to bore anybody. Like I said, I'm not going to cover it all. I'm just going to cover the things that I feel are truly pertinent to the audience. I'll also provide the, I think there's a link for this. I got to make sure there's a link, but I'll provide some of these resources. I'll probably put them in the Finance Rebel Academy. So if you're on Facebook, join the Finance Rebel Academy. And they're often talking about money, talking about ways to increase your overall net worth and overall wealth. So come on and join us. Just to check in with folks real quick, see if anybody has anything to say. Yep, Business Wars talked about it. Yes, Business Wars is one of my favorite podcasts. Actually, shout out to Jimmy over at By the Hood podcast. Make sure y'all check out By the Hood podcast. He put me on to Business Wars. I guess maybe you're tagging somebody. I'm not sure what that says. Alexandria Jackson said, had to come here to see the presentation. Yeah, sadly, I don't have the tech to present on the IG screen. Katisa Rao says 20 years is a long time. Currently, there's a 10-year student loan cancellation for public workers. Yep. How about a 5-year plan? I agree. I also think the way that interest rates are calculated for student loans should be closer to what they are for mortgages, at least when the government has control over it. I think that would be a great thing. All right, so let's get back to it. I don't see any other questions or comments, concerns. Listen, put a 1 in the comments if you're keeping up with me, if you understand everything. Put a 2 if you are not. I don't like to talk over anybody. I want to talk with you and not at you. Thank God for listen, Empress. I told you not to start that. I've been doing good. Thank God for annual funding for HBCUs. Yeah, but did you just see that he took away by executive order any grants being made to race-based organizations, and HBCUs are going to squarely fall into that. I need objectivity, y'all. All right. Empress, you're not objective. Now listen, I've told y'all there's videos out there floating around with me. I am not pro-Democrat, pro-Republican. I'm black, period. But come on, like, all right, I ain't gonna get into that. K-Spur, how are you? Welcome. Empress and Alexandria going back and forth in the chat on IG. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not. I want to say something so bad, but I'm not going to get into it. Netflix needs to compensate for QE's losses. That's funny. Netflix associates indebted for child. Come on. Yeah, let's not act like Epstein wasn't chummy with Trump. That's what I mean. Like, we can't even be objective, y'all. But listen, I'm not going to let you get me off my square. Yep. Yeah, you can. Everybody on IG, you can come off IG and come on to YouTube or Facebook, either one. All right, I'm still on. Hey, y'all, how you doing? Jedi Mace Windu. Did you watch The Mandalorian? But they don't use black businesses to revitalize the communities. I'm assuming you're talking about opportunity zones. All right. Gary Trey 3, what's up, Trey? How you doing? Achievement, what's up, Mike? How you doing? Now and then, Andy Moxon, welcome. All right, so everybody's following. It seems like everybody's following along. All right. Alexandra wants me to touch on the payroll tax. Okay, yes, and the payroll tax is here. I am not a fan of the payroll tax repeal, but like I said, I'm going to do my best, my very, very best to be objective here. All right, just give y'all the facts. My people in the PABJ and NABJ like to call me a journalist. So when you're a journalist, you have to try to be objective to a certain degree. There are opinion pieces though too, but that's not why we're here today. All right, so payroll tax applied. So this is what we got going on right now. The current law, payroll tax applied on workers' wages up to $137,000, $137,700 for 2020. FICA tax of 12.4% percent split between employer and employee. Most workers can contribute and get preferential tax treatment on up to $19,500 a year on 401k plans, right? So 401k plan usually goes up every year by about $500. Highly paid executives can contribute an unlimited amount in certain tax advantage plans. Yeah, that's more the executive compensation plans. All right, so Trump's position on this is through executive order, optional deferment of payroll taxes from September 1 through December 31st for workers earning up to $104,000. So for workers up to $104,000, they do not have to pay payroll taxes. All right. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin believes many businesses will continue to collect payroll taxes despite the order. Yes, they are, because many folks don't know how this is going to be enforced. A lot of things that are going on right now with the tax bills, with the stimulus plans, everybody kind of in the tax community, talking about the accountants and the tax pros, they're not sure what next tax season is going to look like. I'm not sure what next tax season is going to look like. I believe it's going to be crazy. All right. So that, again, from September 1 to December 31st, he's talking about extending it. I think that's a really bad idea. Social Security is already underfunded. All right. So Joe Biden says end employers intentionally misclassifying their employees as independent contractors. I believe I owe y'all a video on that. I know I kind of talk around it a lot. Because a lot of employers and people that work, or people that have business owners that don't want to hire employees, they like to classify everybody as independent contractors, can get in trouble. It's against the law. All right. So again, misclassifying employees as independent contractors to avoid paying employment taxes. All right. He's also looking to lift Social Security taxable wage base on high earners. So the Social Security wage tax, right, is $137,700. $137,700. All right. He wants to raise that to $400,000. That would help shore up Social Security. A lot of people won't like that. A lot of people won't like that. All right. And then we got retirement incentives. The law right now is eligible employees can contribute a portion of their salary to a qualified retirement plan, 401k, 403b, 457. 401k plan is usually for a for-profit organization. 403b plan is for a nonprofit organization. 457 plan is for a municipal retirement plan, like the city of Philadelphia has a 457 plan. The deferred salary is not included in taxable income until withdrawn. Penalties apply for early withdrawal. No all employees. That's poorly written. No all employers offer qualified retirement. So basically they're saying not all employers offer qualified retirement plans. Minimum distributions required when taxpayer turns 72. So what normally happens in that case, and I'll just kind of go into it a little bit. What normally happens in that case, you work somewhere 20, 30, 40 years, you put money into your 401k, you retire, and then you roll that money over into an IRA. You can't take it out until after you're 59 and a half without avoiding an extra tax, right, which is 10% on top of that money. But you can take money out, still pay tax on it after 59 and a half, this regular tax with no penalty. Now, what happens is, let's say you've never taken out any money. You were fine. Maybe you had a business. Maybe you had, plenty of money in savings. When you retire, you have to then start taking money out of that IRA at 72 and a half. All right. If you don't take it out by 72 and a half, they charge you like this ginormous tax fee. It's actually pretty crazy, but they charge it. So that's what that's talking about. All right. So Trump really has no new provisions. Everything that's in the budget and the law right now is going to stand. Biden is thinking about creating or proposing to create automatic 401k for workers without access to a pension or 401k plans. Allow 401k plans to offer hardship withdrawals for survivors of domestic violence or sexual assault, and allow penalty-free distributions for such people. And by the way, the penalty is 10%. The penalty, however, does not exclude tax. You still have to pay tax on that money. I get a lot of questions about that. All right, equalize the tax benefits of defined contribution plans across the income scale. Again, defined contribution is like a 401k plan or 403b plan or 457 plan. It's not a pension plan, though. All right, allow caregivers to make catch-up contributions to retirement accounts, even if they're not earning income in the formal labor market. Offer tax credits to small businesses to offset much of the cost of starting or maintaining retirement plans. That's interesting. That's definitely a proposal that's pro woman, because a lot of times you have women who are not working, or maybe they might be working under the table and they can't do anything. The husband might do all the work, and you can't get into a 401k plan unless you do some other things. Jack, the first three, how you doing? Thanks for joining. All right, so that was the Social Security plan, Alexandria. Here we're going to talk about healthcare and long-term care. Current law states tax credits are available to lower income taxpayers to help pay for premiums for purchasing health insurance. And in exchange, right, you get some credits for that. Long-term care insurance premiums are eligible for medical care expenses as well. You get to write that off if you are eligible to itemize your deductions. So Trump's plan proposal will repeal the Affordable Care Act. Well, that's clear because it's in the Supreme Court now. That's due to go to court on November 10th. The 2017 TCJA Act repealed the individual mandate, setting the penalty for not having healthcare at zero. That's already in place, so I don't know why. All right, anyway, Joe Biden says eliminate the 400 income cap on tax creditability. So if you make more than 400%, you're not really able to get the income tax credit when you participate in the marketplace exchanges. Okay, so impose a tax penalty on drug manufacturers that increase the cost of their brand, biotech, or abusively priced generic over the general inflation rate. I like that. Terminate pharmaceutical corporations' tax deductions for advertisement spending. Create a $5,000 tax credit for using informal caregivers, including family members. Increase tax benefits for older Americans who buy long-term care insurance and pay for it. I don't like the advertising part, but I like everything else. Again, there's over 10,000 people turning 65 daily. That being said, you have people like myself who are in what's called the sandwich generation. So since I'm in the sandwich generation, I have my mother and father, and then I have my children. And I have actually experienced my mother had a fire not too long ago, a couple years ago, when she had to come stay with me. And I didn't sweat it, but it was definitely added weight that was on my shoulders, right? But she's my mom, so it is what it is. But a lot of people could use an extra credit for that. So again, that's actually a good thing for folks like myself and older, and younger, matter of fact, because then I'm assuming that credit could also be applied to people who have like autistic kids or children with mental challenges as well. So, for folks who are already kind of cash strapped, that could be a major help right there. All right. Let's see. Don Johnson says, I want to hear about the plan for reparations. Don't hold your horses, Don. You know what though, Don? There is the Platinum Plan, right? And there is the Lift Every Voices and Sing Plan. Maybe I'll do a review of those plans as well. Alexandra says anyone participating in the deferment will be required to pay the tax back in full. Right. And that makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. Like folks like to play games for, you know what? I'm supposed to be objective, y'all. I said I was going to be objective. I'm trying. I am. I swear I am. All right. So let's get to the next point. All right. Corporate tax rate, 21%. Donald Trump proposes no change. Joe Biden is proposing 28% with a 15% minimum book tax on companies reporting more than 100 million in the U.S. but paid zero or negative federal income taxes. Credit for foreign taxes paid, and carryovers allowed. So a lot of times you have a lot of these foreign companies, or excuse me, you have companies, US-based companies that do business overseas, and oftentimes they have to pay tax in both jurisdictions. And so it's interesting. And sometimes with Joe's plan, they're talking about 28% with a 15% minimum book tax on companies reporting more than 100,000. That's really about the Amazon thing. Everybody kind of goes crazy about Amazon, quote unquote, not paying any taxes. However, what people don't realize is that Amazon has run their business in such a way that they intentionally spend their money in R&D and other investments to make their business stronger. And so what they had was called net operating losses, which carry over from year to year. It's really, them not paying taxes really isn't that big of a deal, in my opinion. They adhere to the tax law. They're putting money back into the economy. They're employing people. Can't talk about their standards though of employment, because there's definitely been a case there. But just talking about the tax of it all, again, it's net operating losses. Again, losses from years that they had major losses, and they came forward to the next year. And so it's a loophole, right? It's a loophole, but it's not because they're getting super over or anything like that. All right. So let's get back to this real quick. All right. So 10% offshoring penalty, surtax on profits from any production by any U.S. company overseas for sale on American soil, making the overall tax rate on those profits 30.8%. I get it. All right, I'm not going to talk about the carbon tax, but there is a community development tax. There's a community development proposal, right? So a taxpayer who holds a qualified equity investment on a credit allowance date that occurs during the tax year is allowed to claim a new market tax credit for the taxable year. The NMTC is, again, new market tax credit. Limitation for 2020 is $5 billion. All right, that's the rule right now. Trump proposes fiscal year 2020 would end funding. Right, he would end funding for community development, and so new market is kind of similar to the opportunity zones. What's the easy way to explain it? It's kind of similar to work going on in opportunity zones, and he's looking to get rid of that. Fund discretionary grants and direct loan programs. Okay, expand the new markets credit program to provide $5 billion in support every year and make the program permanent. Enact a manufacturing community tax program. Okay, I don't really have much of a thought on that one. All right, so here, Biden also is proposing a 10% Made in America tax credit for companies that create jobs for American workers, available for revitalizing closed or nearly closed facilities, retooling or expanding facilities. I think that's kind of dead in the water. The United States is not a manufacturing country. It's not a manufacturing country. If you are close to dying or close to going out of business, I don't think you're going to do anything else. You're not going to put more money into it unless you can see a way for it to be profitable. Okay, so depreciation is another thing that helps real estate investors really pimp the tax code. So they're looking to revise it. Taxpayers can take depreciation deduction as a mechanism for recovering the capital invested in an asset. All right. Basically what that means is, let's say you have a real estate property, a rental property that you have purchased. You can't write off the whole, let's say you purchased for $100,000. You can't write off the entire $100,000 in the first year that you bought that property. You have to spread it over the life of the asset, is what they say. And usually for a residential real estate property, it's 27 and a half years. If it's a commercial property, it's 39.5 years. And then there's all other kinds of freaky and tricky stuff that you can do with that. But basically you get to spread that expense or that investment over the life of that property. But in years where you may not have a whole lot of expenses, that comes out. So it's not necessarily based on the money you spend every year. It's based on the money you spent, let's say, in year 1 of 15, and you're still getting that deduction. It's the tax deduction that keeps on giving. Dave Brown 10, how you doing? All right, so let's get back to this. Like I said, I'm not going to go through all of it. It's about 18 pages. All of it isn't applicable. This one's interesting for anybody who wants to be in business or that is in business. All right, so talking about corporate tax again. Let me see. Yeah, well, it's talking about the qualified business income deduction, which is a part of the business tax code. All right, so the current law, taxpayers other than C Corps generally are allowed to deduct 20% of qualified business income from a partnership. As corporations and sole proprietorships as well, as 20% of qualified REITs, which REIT is a real estate investment trust. So 20% of qualified REIT dividends and qualified publicly traded partnership income. So you get a 20% reduction on that. Trump doesn't have any proposed plan changes. Biden says in special qualifying rules, including those for real estate investors. Allow deductions to taxpayers making under 400,000 and under. Well, the people making under 400,000 are eligible for the credit. But very interesting. Renewable energy is on the bill. Real estate. Okay, here's something I know. We love real estate. All right, we love our real estate. All right, so the current law, taxes on gains of real property or deferred. Real property just means real estate, y'all. Are deferred if the property is exchanged for that of like kind. Owners of certain residential rental property occupied by low-income residents may claim a tax credit of a percentage of the qualified basis. Basis just means how much money you have invested into the property. All right. Qualified basis of the property over a 10-year period. Trump basically has no changes. Biden says in qualified business income deduction for real estate investors will take aim at like-kind exchanges. So like-kind exchanges, y'all probably hear the term 1031 exchange a lot. 1031 exchange a lot. So that's what they're talking about here. And there's some other like-kind exchanges as well. And that's basically when you sell a property or sell an asset, you can roll that asset into, again, a qualified or a tax exchange where you don't have to pay tax on it. And then you can roll all that money, this profit, into your new building. So they're looking at changing that. All right, so create new refundable advanceable tax credit of up to $15,000 to assist buying first-time homes. Well, that's going to be interesting, especially for the Black community, with many of us looking to increase home ownership. All right, so credit paid upon purchase, not when filing tax return. That's going to be interesting now. Tax credits to renovate distressed properties in distressed communities called neighborhood home credit as part of general called neighborhood home credit as part of a general business credit. Enact renters tax credit. So that could do well for underserved communities as well. Let's skip that. Repatriation. That gets a lot of play. So we'll talk about it real quick. This is about business taxes. So American corporations can defer paying U.S. income taxes on profits of their offshore subsidiaries until those profits are repatriated. A one-time repatriation tax of past profits of U.S. corporations, foreign subsidiaries with a credit for foreign taxes paid on that income. God, that's poorly written. Basically, a lot of reasons why U.S. companies keep money offshores or in other companies is because they then have to pay tax on it when they bring it back to the United States. Typically, those tax rates or the U.S. tax rates are higher than higher than the countries in which they're in. All right, so Trump lowered it. He changed some things with the new tax act. Biden is saying would end incentives for that tax act and would dramatically lower taxes on income earned overseas and allow the largest, most profitable companies to pay no tax at all, establish a clawback provision to force a company to return public investments and tax benefits when they close down jobs here and send them overseas. So when they outsource, they're saying they want any tax credits back that they got for that because it's no longer benefiting the United States. Oh, tax enforcement and compliance. That's dealing directly with the IRS, y'all. All right, tax compliance runs on a voluntary system requiring taxpayers to file yearly tax returns, right? A tax gap, the difference between what is estimated to be owed and what the IRS collects, stands at approximately $440 billion. So it's $440 billion. Donald Trump proposes fiscal year 2021 federal budget would ensure that taxpayers comply with their obligations and that tax refunds are only paid to those who are eligible, including improving oversight of paid tax preparers. So they're talking about me now, giving IRS the authority to collect more errors on tax returns before refunds are issued, requiring a valid Social Security number for work in order to claim certain tax credits, and increasing wage and information reporting. Biden has no plan on that. All right, so that's basically the end of that. Put your comments in the put your questions, comments, concerns in the chat. Definitely can get into them. But what do y'all think? What do y'all think? If you like Trump's plan, put Trump in the in the chat. If you like Biden's plan, put Biden's in the chat. All right, let's talk about a couple of these things. I'll tell y'all what I think a little later. Trader Elizabeth, how are you? Alexandra Jackson says anyone participating in a deferment will be required to pay the tax back in full January 1 to April 30th. Yeah, I think they're going to to repeal that or change that to some degree. Andy Moxon says Trump. All right, tell us why, Andy. Why do you like Trump's proposal better? I'm guessing you make over $400,000 a year. If so, can I borrow $1? I'm joking. All right. So Alexandra says that's why my New York-based company opted out. Yeah, I get it. It's a pain in the butt. It's a pain in the butt. Hey, Ms. Edith, thanks for joining us. She says, I'm hustling at a gig. I'm the balloon lady. I thought you was the cake lady doing 4 parties, making balloon garlands. God is good all the time. All right, so listen, tell me what y'all think, y'all. Do y'all think Biden's tax plan is better? Do you think Trump's tax plan is better? Trader Elizabeth, we're not doing anything in terms of on-screen interviews or conversations on IG. I'm broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, all at the same time, y'all. Listen, my name is Kamari Ellis. I am the Finance Rebel. Every Saturday, we do a segment of the Finance Rebel show called Wealthy Conversations. So this is the time where we sit back, we get some coffee, we have some conversations about money, about wealth, especially in our community, the Black community, and how they can improve. So what do y'all think, y'all? We got some people in the room. What do you think? So Trader Elizabeth, we're talking about the Trump plan versus the Biden plan. Please keep your comments to those topics. Did you know? I'm not even going to respond to that. Okay. Your company is in Philly, but it's a New York-based company, right, Alexandra? All right, so we got one reply. Again, Andy says Trump, and Alexandra says Biden. So what do y'all think? Chime in. Tell me what you think. Who do you like better? Whose plan do you like better? All right, so hold on. So Miss Edith says, again, hello, Miss Edith. Happy Saturday. I don't think I did that. I'm the cake lady until I get licenses. Got to get that money. Okay, I ain't mad at that. Listen, When there is no way, you make a way. That's how it goes. Trump's current tax laws are creating financial challenges on seniors like my parents. Yep. In many cases, that is true. Okay. Okay. So you're Philadelphia-based company. Got you. But either way, this whole deferment of the Social Security tax, to me, is a waste of time. It's not that big. It becomes an administrative nightmare that he nor anyone else in his cabinet is going to really have to deal with at a real meaningful level. So I was never really for it. And then, like you said, if you have to pay it back, can you imagine that? I mean, listen, there's still a moratorium on like utilities and federally backed mortgages and things like that. How many people do you think have actually saved money? Because many people are still making money, but how many people have actually saved money to make sure that when the moratorium's off, that can pay? I don't think there's many, y'all. I don't. All right, so we only got 2 people chiming in. Nobody's got anything to say? Y'all tired of listening to me talk? What do you think? Is Trump's plans better, or is Biden's plan better? So I'll say this. I think Trump's plan is better for the rich. I think Biden's plan is better for your average everyday American. Many people have been throwing around this whole $400,000 in tax. Why should you worry about that? That's not really that big of a deal. Matter of fact, give me 1 second, y'all. I actually had something else I wanted to show you all. Some of the projections of how the tax will play out for under Trump's plan and under Biden's plan. And I meant to bring that up, but let's see if I can grab it real quick. Give me 1 second, y'all. But listen, while y'all waiting, do me a favor, share this out. And chime in. Tell me, whose plan do you like better? Do you like Trump's plan better? Do you like Biden's plan better? Which plan is the best? And I'll jump in and giving you some more of my thoughts on it in just 1 second. But I just want to show you some things because, again, a lot of people were kind of up in arms about this plan. And again, I don't understand why. I didn't understand why. I think sometimes we are so sensitive to a lot of the media hype that we don't really even think about what's going on. So let's see if I can grab this here. Nope, can't grab it. All right, so I'll just share the screen. So I'm gonna go to Instagram on y'all real quick. Listen, chime in. Tell us, what plan do you like better? Do you like Biden's plan? Do you like Trump's plan? All right, so how much would I pay? So here is kind of projections on the tax plan. And I found this on Instagram. It's the Amp Life on Instagram. And so 50 Cent got a lot of pushback because he said he likes Trump's plan better. But I always tell people 50 Cent is a known troll. He's a professional troll. So 90% of the stuff that he puts on social, he does not believe. So I don't know if he actually is supporting Trump or not. But let's just go through some of these. Hopefully everybody can see these. And these, I fact checked these. These are accurate. All right. So it says, how much would you pay? Biden's income tax increases are aimed at people earning under $400,000 a year who would pay 39.2% on income above $400,000. He would also restart payroll taxes, which currently don't apply to any earnings above above 137,000 for all earning after 400,000. So current tax code is 37% if you are over 400K. Below are comparisons between the current federal taxes under Biden's plan and under Joe's plan. So here's the occupation. Average Florida firefighter making $51,000, right? Under Trump's plan, he pays $8,422 in taxes. Under Biden's plan, he pays $8,422. All right. Coming to the home state, average Pennsylvania middle school teacher makes $69,330. Under Trump's plan, it's $16,553 they owe in taxes. Under Biden's plan, it's $16,553. All right, your average Colorado lawyer. So here they're showing different geographical places and different occupations. So keep that in mind. Income tax at $150,000 is 37, almost 38,000. Under Biden's plan, so I'm sorry. Under Trump's plan, it's $37,882. Under Biden's plan, it's $37,882. New York hedge fund manager making $444,000. His income tax will be $143,198. Under Biden's tax plan, it will be $147,228. What do y'all think about that, folks? What do y'all think about that? It's not much of a difference, right? Not much of a difference. The real difference comes in higher income levels. And by the way, once you get to those higher income levels, if you're really worried about paying too much in taxes, you hire someone like me, or you hire a lawyer, or you hire a CPA. But the thing is, you have the means to do it because there's still the loopholes. I personally, I'm in favor of a flat tax. Get rid of all the loopholes. You pay what you owe what you pay, and you keep it moving. That'll never happen, though, because there's too many special interests going on in Congress. There's too many people on K Street or lobbying for certain loopholes to stay in place. But I don't think it matters at all. So again, like I said, I think it's, you can show, right? You can always tell the works of a person by when you really listen to them. And so the works of Trump. So, all right, let me give it. So the works of Trump benefit the rich. The works of Trump really don't benefit the average American, right? Even when you look at the TCJA, right, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it does a great for those at the very, very top. Does some for those at the bottom. And it only does a little bit for those in the middle. All right, so let's go to some of the comments. Okay, so Tiffany says she likes Biden's plan, being that she's middle-aged. Tiffany, I didn't know that. I thought you were a teenager. All right, Tiffany also says, we have said this before, we don't save. Yep. One name says Trump has lowered the taxes. Sure, the corporate. By the way, so y'all know I do tax, right? I am what's called an enrolled agent with the IRS. So I look at tax from multiple views. I actually like the corporation tax cuts, for the record. Just want you to know that. So exactly, Alexandria Jackson says people will pay that. Taxes owed on returns, and many who have opted not to pay taxes on their unemployment will have an additional tax to pay. Yep, absolutely. So Demetri says Biden's plan is only better for Social Security tax because that needs to be funded. That's all you heard was Social Security tax? I talked a lot more about that than just Social Security tax, Demetrius Ellis. No relation, but I think we are cousins. We used to work together when I was an intern working for free at Radio 1. That's my bro, though. Taxman's not going to be good for people this year. Taxmas is tax season Christmas for everybody who don't know the lingo. Trump is definitely keeping the rich. Yep, rich. And 50 makes 400K plus. Yeah, but again, I think 50 is trolling. I don't think 50 is serious. 50 news jacks all the time. And again, I'm not taking up for 50. I'm just saying that's what I think he's doing. Eve says, I agree, not much of a difference. What else going to do for? For all of y'all who don't know Ebonics, basically what's going to happen for us. All right, let's see. Are there any more comments? K Street. What is K Street? Monday out in K Street is a street in Washington, D.C., where most lobbyist firms are headquartered. Alexandra Jackson says, especially retired seniors. Yeah, yeah. I like that. I like that credit for the daycare for seniors. We are family. Absolutely. You my man. You know that. Alexandra Jackson says, oh, my mom works for the IRS, by the way. I want to say something, but I got love for you, Alexandra, so I'm going to hold that thought. I'll say this. I'm assuming your mother is one of the more knowledgeable people at the IRS, because just because you're the IRS doesn't mean you're knowledgeable. I have personally gotten bad info from the IRS. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm not trying to imply anything. I'm sure your mother's a genius. So listen, y'all, when y'all thinking about your taxes, right, you do need to know what's on the table. You do need to know what's going on, because there's a lot of jargon going around. There's a lot of rhetoric going around, and these media campaigns on TV, radio, and social media, these memes that are being used as well, oversimplify very complex things. We live in a microwave society now. People want things instantaneously. Sadly, most things that are great, sadly, most things that are meaningful, sadly, most things that are impactful aren't instantaneous. You can't put it in the microwave, hit the 30-second button, and then boom, it pops out and it's wonderful. Years ago, I met a lady who would microwave Thanksgiving dinner. The turkey, she would microwave the turkey for Thanksgiving dinner, and she would put it on for like 5 hours, something like that. And she had a whole system. She put it in the bag, and I'm like, no, I don't want my turkey in the microwave. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not open to new advancements in technology. That doesn't mean I'm not open to challenging or reevaluating a position and using something different. But typically, the turkey is not going to be as juicy. I'd rather wait. I'm okay. Patience is wonderful. Patience truly leads to wealth, y'all. So I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. Christopher Allen says, welcome back, Miss Edith. All right, well, listen, we don't want to give up too much tape on Mom Duke, right? Because he's already trying to say that the folks at the IRS is giving him a hard time. He's being very, very unfairly. He's being treated very, very unfairly, which we know that's BS, right? Because here's what happens when you get audited, right? After the IRS goes through and makes their decision, they can overturn it or they can leave everything as is, right? If they were really, really treating him unfair, Trump, that is, with his appeal or with his audit, they would have just said from the gate, we're going to disallow all your stuff. We're going to give you a large tax bill, and then you can apply. Then you can appeal. He didn't do that, though, or they didn't do that, right? I will say this. The IRS isn't as bad as most people make it out to be, even though it should be respected. It should definitely be respected. Don't take it as a joke. But in the way that he presented that situation, he's lying. Because again, if they were really treating him really, really badly, again, they could have disallowed it, closed the case, and made him repeal. It would be in tax court right now. So, keep those things in mind. Keep those things in mind. The guy's an investor. How are you? Debbie Wilbur asked, is there anything going on with estate taxes and with either candidates? Yeah, there was something put on there. I have to go back through it to pull it up. Riley says, what are your thoughts on 401k distributions without the penalty? So it's a good and a bad thing. So let me read the full comment, right? What are your thoughts on 401k distribution without the penalty many people are taking currently and through the end of the year? It's not mentioned in the Biden plan. Have you heard anything regarding it from his perspective? Well, Congress, it's either the HEROES Act or the CARES Act, I forget which one it was, basically took the penalty away for withdrawing money from your 401k or your IRA if you are under 59 and a half. I have to see what the deadline for that is. But they did that for this year. I think it was cool because, again, nobody knew what was going on. I even think it's kind of cool going forward. However, people need a forced savings. The reason why people love real estate so much is a forced savings. It's not that your equity is so much better than cash in the bank. It's a forced savings, and you have to go through hoops to get that money out, right? I don't know if anybody watched my recent video on YouTube, but talking about a client of mine who's looking to refund, and they can't refund because they have some credit things, right? So she's got this equity in her property, and she can't get it because she's had some credit things, even though she's paid down the mortgage balance, even though the property has appreciated, she still can't get access to that money. So like when I tell people, real estate's cool, don't get me wrong, but it's not the golden goose that many of y'all think, because you can't always get it. Cash will always be king, y'all. I can't reiterate that enough. Cash will always be king. And yes, you want to reinvest your cash, absolutely, and put it to work, but you need cash for certain things. She needs it. She's trying to grow her business, and she would rather take that money out of her home instead of taking it out of her savings. And I get it. I get it. Allison Thompson. Hey, Allison, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Appreciate you being here. I appreciate this info, Kamari. Thank you. Listen, if you appreciate me, do me a favor. Share this out. Also, has anybody been listening to the podcast, The Finance Rebel Show? If you have been listening to the podcast, do me a favor. Leave me a review and rating over on iTunes. Yes, Shamice, again, yes. But that's why I say cash flow. Cash flow is king. Cash and cash flow is king too, right? What's the difference between the two? Difference between the two is cash. Cash is just the kind of money you have sitting on the side, let's say in the bank. Cash flow is what you generate, what's coming in. You need both. But there are times in life, in the cycle of business and the cycle of life, where something happens and it might exceed your cash flow, and you have to dip into your savings. So then now you got to dip into the cash flow and the savings. So you need both. And yes, cash flow is king. That's why Apple does so well. That's why Microsoft and Google do so well, because their cash flow is ginormous. I was looking at something the other day. A friend of mine, fellow accountant, investor, said to me, Kamari, do you know Facebook has no debt? And so we kind of got, we're money nerds, so this is what we do. I was like, no, debt, there's debt, there's liabilities on the thing. And then she went through this whole thing about, prepaid payroll taxes and things like that aren't that, and which I knew, but I was just looking at liabilities. But Facebook has like 400 million in debt, and I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. They have like 400 million in debt. They make over $1 billion a month. So in cash flow, and they're free and clear cash flow. So they could literally wipe off their debt within a month, but they're just leaving it there because they don't have to pay it off. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see that, right? So when you get to a point where you have money coming in, you have to be very strategic with it. You got to be very strategic with it. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why they're not paying off that 400 million in debt. Because again, they bring it in every month. It's probably super low cost interest rates. It's not hurting them any. It might be zero low cost interest rates, honestly. And by the way, Facebook also has a bunch of credit lines available to them in the billions of dollars. So they again could pay that debt off, transfer and do it, but they aren't, and they're holding on to their debt. So just keep that in mind. Yes. So the reserves. By the way, me and Shamice went to the greatest university in the world, second to all the HBCUs, right? Because again, y'all know I'm HBCU wannabe. She went to Temple University. Figured out we were actually in the same class together, which was kind of weird. But we found each other all these years later on, somehow through the power of social media. Showbiz, my man, how you doing, sir? Welcome. So yeah, it definitely matters. Definitely matters. All right. Any other comments? So listen, we went through the Trump plan. We went through the Biden plan. I've been on here for quite some time. Y'all know I need my vittles. But what do y'all think? Shamice, what do you think about the Trump plan? What do you think about the Biden tax plan? The rest of y'all, what do y'all think about the Trump plan? What do y'all think about the Biden plan? I only got a couple of answers from y'all. Now, Dibby Wilbur asked the question, though. He asked, what do I think what's happening with the estate tax with either individuals? So somebody's asking about estate tax. They got something going on, y'all. They got some money. So I'm going to pull the presentation back up. Give me 1 second, Divvy, and I'll go to that section since you asked about it. Give me 1 second again. While you know what, you told me that before. I apologize. Divvy equals she. I am sorry. Is it Divvy or Debbie? I don't like saying names wrong, and I don't like giving improper gender classifications. Get you in a whole pot of mess. Also, never assume where a person's country of origin, where they hail from, is. Quick story. I thought a Pakistani student that I was in school with, I think was it Temple? No, I think it was Community. I called her Indian, and she lit into me heavy. So now I just ask, where are you from? All right, so give me a moment, y'all. I'm looking up estate tax. Estate tax definitely doesn't impact 99% of the U.S. population. It's definitely a 1%er in income and 1% asset type situation. Give me 1 second. 1 second. In the interim, right, sounds like Debbie. That sounds like Debbie. Okay, so listen, that was an honest mistake. And if you know anything about the history of Pakistan and India, you could kind of understand why I arrived there. However, in growing maturity, again, you shouldn't assume. And I did assume. So I had to be responsible for that. And I always had to be considerate of other people's feelings, around their nationality, around where they hail from. So listen, I never do anything to intentionally harm anybody unless I feel that they're trying to intentionally harm me. So Debbie, why are you asking about estate tax? Just curious. Now, I know I saw it because I intentionally skipped over it because I didn't think anybody would want to hear about it. Give me 1 second. I know neither one of them had any. So, you know what, Debbie, to answer your question, neither one of them had any proposed changes in the current day tax. I do know that. But I just want to find it and read it so everybody can know about it. And here's the thing, y'all, while we're talking about it, I'll just kind of give you a quick synopsis on what estate tax is. So estate tax is a tax on a person's estate after they pass away, right? So the federal government will begin to tax your estate if you have over, I want to say it's 11 million, but I'm going to fact check that live while we are here since I've been called on the carpet to answer that question. I think this is it here. Okay, so exemption amount is 11.58 million for 2020. Assets passed through at death can a basis step up to fair market value for the recipient. Increased exemption amount reverts back to 5 million after 2025. Hey Kelly. So what does that mean? So right now, if your estate equals more than 11.58 million, you have to pay estate taxes on the federal level. Again, most of us don't have to deal with that. But it's something that some folks had to deal with. A lot of farmers had to deal with it. A couple of years ago, the exemption was 5 million. And so if you understand what all is counted in an estate, you can get the 5 million kind of easily. And again, this is all net value. So what's included in your estate could be business, life insurance policy, depending upon how it's titled, uh, the property that you live in, stocks, your real estate investments, any other assets you might have. Right. Yep. And so you have a farm. And so with farms, y'all, it's easy, right? Again, you hear that big number and you think it's for the rich. But when you have a farm, you can get a lot of assets, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're generating a lot of income. Many of our farmers, especially a lot of our black farmers, are doing really, really bad. But some of those tractors are easily a couple $100,000, right? If we factor in the land, it's an issue. So, it's something you definitely have to factor into. So again, Trump's plan is doing what they did with TCJA, right? That exemption again will change back to 5 million if they don't extend it. Joe Biden, however, wants to eliminate step up and basis rule that allow people to pass capital gains to heirs without tax after death. I don't like that, but I get it. I get it. Because that will, if they're going to do that, if they're going to eliminate step up and basis, it should be for those who, well, you know what, it wouldn't matter for regular individuals. But again, they should make sure that it doesn't hurt certain people, again, like farmers. Now, again, the farming space is very intricate. It's very interesting, right? Because I always tell y'all it's nuance. There's a lot of corporations that are also farms as well, and they get all these same tax benefits. So I want to say Monsanto, but I'm not sure if Monsanto is. There's a couple other big corporate farmers that participate in that space, and they get a lot of the same tax benefits that the little guy does, and that's not right. That's not right. Okay, I can't find it quickly, so I won't belabor on it. All right, so one name says we also got to take into account that Biden might bring the lockdowns back. That won't help me at all. Yeah, it might not help you at all, but it might help the actual country. Like, people take COVID spread as a joke. People are dying, dog. Like, come on, man. Like, so let me ask you this. And listen, again, we have to look at everything through with nuance. We have to analyze everything. So if we have a massive widespread of COVID, we've already seen the outbreaks happen. We're seeing them in Europe. We're seeing a lot happen now, recurring back in the United States. If we can slow that down, because here's the problem: our hospitals can't really handle the high capacity of patients that are coming on the onslaught of patients that are coming in to the hospital to get treatment. So if we lock down for a little while longer to save lives, to save one life, you wouldn't want to do that? One name? And again, I'm all for making a buck, just like everybody else. But what comes first, profit or people? I'm always people over profit, always. Because without people, you will never have profit. So are we going to put the cart before the horse? Or are we going to put the horse before the cart? The people drive profits, period. And again, I know I say, all right, so listen, my objective point is now over. We reviewed the tax plan as best as possible. Now we're coming into real life, right? Taxes are part of real life, but so is living, right? And so this guy has basically said that COVID is an annoyance to him because the press keeps talking about it. Well, the press keeps talking about it because people keep dying. Now, I can't speak to folks who are part of the conspiracy team to say that COVID is a part of the government plan or whatever. I don't know. All I know is that people are dying. All I know is people not coming into contact with others helps slow down the spread. I talked to a client yesterday, literally, who's doing a major project, multi-million-dollar project down in Georgia. He's got his team down there, and they rented a place and they're staying there, basically kind of self-sequestered. They're not really interacting. One of the guys has a girlfriend down there. The girlfriend had a party. And the girlfriend invited her other girlfriend over and some other people over, and they had a shindig. They had an outing. That one guy contracted COVID from that outing, believed from the girlfriend's girlfriend, brought it back to the house where all the guys are staying. The whole house got infected except for like one guy. Had to stop work for a little while. So how do you reconcile that? Right. So again, I'm not coming down on you, but again, I see this and I see a lot of us like to talk about Trump. No, I don't like Trump. Trump's a racist. It's documented, right? He's a Islamophobe. I'm a human being. I am black, right? Y'all know I'm unapologetically black of African origin. He don't like people from shithole countries, right? So no, I'm not a Trump fan at all. Some reason though, he's able to do an excellent spin. And so now with COVID, he says the media treats him unfairly about COVID. Well, you got over 200,000 people that died. Come on. Are we serious? And I've really questioned the humanity, and I'm being honest, and I'm not accusing anybody. You can vote for who you want to vote for, but I question the humanity or the recognition of humanity that really side with this guy, right? Even when you look at the cage thing, when Joe Biden pressed him about the cages in that debate before last, his retort was, who built the cages? Kind of swinging it back to Obama. Yes, the cages were built over Obama, but however, Obama didn't use the cages in that fashion, nor was his policy for that. So y'all got to be able to see behind the spin. Like in the streets where I'm from, they call that gang. They call that capo. It's basically bullshit, right? So you got to be able to see behind it. But I see so many people like have really went for it, and it boggles my mind. So if we dangle a carrot of money, like we're willing to go for it, so we're willing to take the money over the people. I don't care black, white, yellow, green, or different. We're willing to take a tax cut over the mismanagement of this COVID situation. I wouldn't want him in there based on two things. I got more. Mismanagement of COVID, right? Mismanagement of COVID, and him intentionally putting children in cages. I'm a father. I got kids. I got a granddaughter. And the fact that you weren't sensitive enough to do that. Now, I know somebody's going to say, but Obama put kids in cages too. Under extreme circumstances. When the kids came there by themselves. Where the parents were charged under law for some reason. If the parent was violent or a threat to the child. Why? Because they didn't have anywhere else to go. Right? It's just like when protective custody services, people get mad because they say, well, they took my kids. Well, they took your kids, and sometimes it's wrong, right? Again, we got to be able to see the nuance and the complexity of a thing. But a lot of times these kids are separated from their parents because their parents are negligent in their duties. The parents aren't feeding the kids, they're not clothing the kids, they're not cleaning the kids, they don't have a safe place. So what do you do? Do you leave them in that condition or do you separate, right? So again, you got to be able to see through the bullshit, y'all. Just being honest. This pandemic is giving businesses the opportunity to come up with a business continuity plan and readjust their businesses. Yeah, I agree. Shanice, I never heard of that book. I got to look that up. People Before Profits. Who's the author? Yes. Devi, we need thoughtfulness. We absolutely need thoughtfulness. Most Trump supporters are reactive thinkers. Now, but here, let's look at why Trump supporters rock with Trump. And I've kind of, I don't want to say discovered this, but thought about this for a while, and somebody else brought it back up. Many of the people that rock with Trump die hard are amongst a group of people who have been long and forgotten. Many of these folks in these rural towns, mining towns, steel towns that the left and the right have forgotten about, haven't addressed. Very much like the black community, very much. And so now they find somebody that they think is the great white hope, and they're going to pledge all their allegiance to him without any circumspect, without thoughtfulness, without anything. And they're not able to do that. They're just saying, oh, here's this guy who can debate well by talking over people, right? So when they believe in being loud and wrong means you're right, sadly, and without any stability. But I get it. They are looking for a lifeline. They are looking for a lifeline, and they want it by all costs. But again, we need thoughtfulness. And again, this isn't about party. Y'all know, again, like I said, I think both parties are trash at the macro level, at the large level. But when we look at issues like today, um, I'm looking at the Democrats as a better option across the board. Across the board. And there's plenty of evidence if you just Google my name, Kamari, or Facebook, where I talk about the misgivings of the Democratic Party. They are not without sin, but neither is the Republicans. So anybody who will sit there and try to propose one party, like there's a group of people saying they're going to lead the Democratic plantation, and they blame all ills of black people on the Democrats. And I say, oh, well, do you look at Nixon at all? Do you look at Reagan at all? Right? Yeah. Clinton, absolutely. He's a Democrat. I just named 2 Republicans, though. What about them? What about their part in the dismantling of the black family? So again, it's not a thoughtful, it's not a real conversation. And listen, if you just want to do surface politics, superficial things, and fine. But in order to really make change and move things, you got to be willing to go deep, dive deep, look at the complexity of things, address the nuance of things, and everything isn't the same. Nah, talk taxes is taxes. In that context, I don't agree in what you have. I like Biden's plan better. It serves more people like you and I, who work hard every day. And that's no aspersion to the wealthy either. I don't have a problem with them either. But you want a fair tax system. You want it to be fair. All right, so I made it for Well, Devin, you've been around for a while. You've been in a couple of broadcasts. Stick around. I'm not a black and white person. People don't like it. Sometimes they think I ride the fence. People don't think I can come to a definitive conclusion because I like to look at both sides, but I can. I'm just not in a rush. And so everybody is always in a rush. Again, we live in this microwave society. It's just like, give me more, give me more, give me more. No, the reason why we rush is usually the reason why we make mistakes. My buddy Eric Tucker is on. I've been knowing Eric, man. Eric, how long have I been knowing you? Over 20 years ago. But he's in the trades industry. He's a mutter, but a taper, I guess. But they always say in construction, right? Measure twice, cut once. Measure twice, cut once. Why? Because if you make a mistake and you're too swift or too fast and you cut something short, it's really hard to make that thing work. However, if you cut it too long, you can always cut back. So, we need to think more. And most of my content is for the black community. So I'm obsessed with black wealth, or the lack of it, and how do we get to it? How do we get to more of a place of equality? And we need more thoughtfulness. We need to make our politicians more accountable, but we can't do that just by a lot of times we get caught into relationships and folks can just do whatever they want to do, right? They don't keep folks accountable. They don't make them do their job, and they just let them kind of stay and do whatever they want to do, right? We got to vote. We got to finance campaigns. We have to put more pressure on our elected officials, again, especially in my community, the black community, because we are the community that has been abused the most. So that's my thoughts. Charles Derber. Okay, I'm going to look that up. I'm going to write that down right now. I would love to see if he and I thoughts are in alignment. I don't know that I've ever heard that or got that from him, or heard that line. It's possible. We are all influenced unconsciously a lot of times. We don't recognize that either. Yep, both parties are trash. Yep. And so, a lot of times we do get caught up in party politics and not the individual. But this time, if you look at what the Republicans have done ever since Obama got in office, they made a plan and strategy, which again, you gotta kind of applaud, right? Because they executed their strategy. They took over the entire United States, from dog catchers to sheriffs in every state, most state houses, most state senates, a lot of the governorships. Same thing at the larger federal level. They've done all of that. And guess what? They don't care about anybody else. They only care about their quote unquote Republican agenda. And the Republicans, honestly, aren't even the Republicans of 10 years ago, 20 years ago. They've definitely changed. Definitely changed. Disenfranchisement equals less black wealth. Yes, it happens a lot. It happens a lot. But here's the thing, right? We can't expect the people who abuse us to protect us. We can't expect the people that abuse us to do right by us. I mean, one of my favorite movies is The Color Purple. Now, if y'all watch Color Purple when Celie did the root, she's putting the root on Mister, right? How long did it take Mister to get it in his mind to do right by Celie? Kids was old and grown by then, and then he decided to do that. She had to remove herself, right? And so she had to basically make a decision to take control and ownership, right? And I don't mean ownership in the actual literal sense of owning property, but owning your life, owning your communities. You have to do that, and if you really want a real change. And I don't see that. I don't see that. All right, so Jamar, I'm like you now, man. I'm about to put that EA behind my name. Thanks for joining us, sir. I agree, but if folks don't do the research before they vote, how can they hold it? They can't. I mean, that's part of my point, Jamar, and you are right. They don't want to do the research. We should always do the research, and then do the research, right? Because it's so funny, man. I'm watching Instagram videos where there's black guys out here asking a guy why he is campaigning or going to vote for Biden. And so what did he say to this guy? He said, Biden hasn't done anything in 47 years. Same thing Trump said, right? So my retort from that is, do you understand the role and position of Biden's job from the time he got into Senate, right? It's not just about Biden. It's not. It's about the whole body in the Senate and Congress and president. So he was part of a larger body. So it's like when they put all the blame on Biden for the crime bill of 1994. By the way, y'all should go back and look at the there's a crime bill. It was like 84, 86 too, under Reagan. So look at that one too. But it's about the whole body. But people they don't even understand how the process is. They don't understand how the system works. And then again, we're so quick to throw these barbs, these talking points out to folks as if you really understand anything. I mean, to me, it's like, how are black people okay with a man who took out a full-page ad in the New York Times to lock up the Central Park Five? How are we okay with supporting a man who won't apologize for it, right? He won't even right his wrong or seek atonement and amend for that. We talking about lives here, y'all. Not money, lives, people over profit. How are you okay with that? How are you okay if you're a parent with a man who intentionally changed the process to make a point, by the way, change the process to make a point, to put illegal aliens, or immigrants into prison, their children, separate them from their parents intentionally, and they blame it on Obama? Like, why are you okay with that? Why are you okay with that? So, I don't get it, y'all. I don't get it. It's clear as day to me. And listen, so what I would have said to the brother that asked the other brother about what has Joe Biden done in 47 years, what I would have said is, why are you okay with putting kids in cages intentionally, right? Obama didn't put kids in cages intentionally. And listen, Obama's not perfect. He got fault. Drone strike sucked, right? He also was very ambitious, or I shouldn't say ambitious, but he also deported probably the most amount of immigrants ever under the presidency. But again, it's very nuanced. You got to be able to look at that. So, I would have pushed back and I said, why are you okay with that? Why are you okay with not valuing human life? Because to me, that's what it comes to at the end of the day. Slavery was started because people didn't value human life. And then they enslaved Africans, and a lot of other people too. Chinese were enslaved as well, right? Why were we okay with that? Because we thought the profits were more important than the people. And I get it. It was an economic situation. But why didn't your humanity allow you to do that? So listen, when I talk about money, humanity is always going to come first. So if y'all don't rock with that, I can't change who I am and what I believe. I believe humanity is above all things. Humanity is more important than $1 million, $1 billion, or $1 gazillion. I believe that. I live that. So, that would be my thing. Does the media sometimes spin Trump out of proportion? Yeah, but he spins stuff out of proportion too, which leads to that. But also the media is a large reason why Trump's in office in the first place. So you're going to get good and bad to it all. Right. Alexander says to execute them. Right. To execute the Central Park 5. And like, how are you okay with that? That's why, a lot of times I'm very upset with Black folks that you're just okay with this person doing this. By the way, there are a lot of Black people or people of African descent that are coming up in these migration waves. So yes, humanity always apply that same logic to politics. Yeah, I do. And by the way, y'all, so I'm gonna tell y'all something about myself, and I'm not bragging. I've worked in politics, and I wasn't just a coffee person. I've been treasurer for a lot of campaigns. A lot of campaigns. So I don't just say stuff out of it. Taking a lot of classes in political science involved in it because I understand the importance of it. So Eric Tucker says, I think Biden learned a lot from Obama. He knows it's about the people. Trump is not about self. So Trump is about self. Let me read that again. I think Biden learned a lot from Obama. He knows it's about the people. Trump is about self. I think he learned a lot from Obama too, because they really seemed like they had a genuine relationship. Could it have been for the cameras? Maybe, but I don't think so. God 98 says the slave and the slave owners can't party to the same God, and both are praying for different things. Also apply that same logic to politics. Yeah, humanity always. The media has a job to do. K1 Muhammad, what's up, brother? You and your brother on at the same time? So I can't see that logic, y'all. I can't see how, again, a man who is okay to ban folks from the country without due process being a good person. I just don't. And so, you all have the right to do what you want to do. That's my take, though. People over profit always. Humanity before money always. I can't see it any other way. I wasn't raised that way, y'all. So Dorian Lyon says, anybody that takes on the president's role is making deals with the devil. It comes with the job. Yes and no. I think that's a great illustration. That point can be taken with Obama with the drone strikes. Again, I was never happy with drone strikes. A lot of children got killed in those drone strikes that had nothing to do with anything. But again, when you think about it from a political point, how do you stop drone strikes? Like, how do you go to the Joint Chiefs of Staff and say, I want to stop drone strikes? And what they're going to say is, oh, so you want to put our troops' lives at stake? It's one of those things you have to say, I can't really argue and debate it. But, also, I don't have all the information. So a lot of people who make these comments about Obama don't have all the information. You're not in the room. They're all assumptions. All right, so Debbie says research takes time in a microwave society. Yeah, people don't want to research. People don't want to read. We just quick, fast, and in a hurry. Whose financial plan is better? So Dorian, I'm going to do a comparison of this platinum plan, which is like 2 pages, in comparison of Biden's Lift Every Voice plan. Some people are offended by the Lift Every Voice faction on there. I don't care. So Riley says, taking us to church today with the color purple. Yeah, I love the color purple. It has so many undertones about the Black community, especially during that time period. And actually, a lot of those same things still exist today. So yeah, I'm a big fan of the color purple. The media is the biggest weapon known to man. That's right. And like Malcolm X said, if you watch the media long enough, it can make your friends become your enemies. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying that exactly right. But 90% of them are racist, in my opinion. I would agree with that too. But here's, this is the thing, right? And we talk about politics and we talk about the placement or the position of African people here in the United States or Black people here in the United States. We're not leaving. We're not leaving. We're not mass migrating to the Caribbean, to Africa, to any other place, right? And that's no diss to any of those locations. I do believe in the diaspora. I do believe we're all brothers and sisters. I do believe we all have a common struggle. But here's the thing. I believe that most of us in the diaspora also suffer from what I call is the Tarzan syndrome. It basically means, I don't know if any of y'all remember Tarzan. I'm probably showing my age, but basically showing that everything white is right. And I believe we still suffer from that now. That's why we still glamorize these luxury brands. Most people would rather travel to Europe before they go to Africa or the Caribbean or any place where there was a clear African presence. By the way, there was definitely an African presence in Europe too. But I'm just saying where there's a clear and like you can see it. Like part of that all factors in that. We've been programmed to think that way. So if you're not really serious about deprogramming yourself, you're never going to really want to go that route. But I'll say all that to say, Black folks are here in the United States. We're not leaving. We're not going anywhere. So at what point do we say we have to fight? We have to fight on every possible front. We have to be accountable to ourselves and our community and our family. We have to be accountable to all of us, and we have to fight on the financial front. We have to fight on the political front, because the political front really is the financial front. The political front is really the wealth front. Do you know how many people are created millionaires, billionaires, and damn near gazillionaires because of federal contracts, city contracts? And guess what? We pay taxes, right? So it's not like we're asking for a handout. We are owed these things. We are entitled in this sense to these things because we pay taxes. We have the right to get representation for our tax dollars. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. Yeah, there's definitely a big African presence in Europe. Right. Well, but is it really for America to tell? Go watch some Dr. Henry Clark. I want to say it's Dr. Henry Clark that talks a lot about the African Renaissance in Europe. So supposedly there were two, right? Because the Africans educated the Egyptians. Nobody talks about that. And if you really want to get funky with it, the Egyptians was an annex of Kemet in Nubia. And so was all that knowledge really derived from Egypt, or did it arrive from Kemet and Nubia and all the Nile Valley civilizations that came before Egypt? Because the pyramids didn't start in Egypt. They started further down in the Nile. But, research, y'all. Research. All right. So, listen, I've been rocking with y'all for over 2 hours, almost 2.5 hours. Any last comments? Hey, Stacey, how you doing? Thanks for joining. Any other comments, questions, concerns before I check out for the day? Listen, y'all, do me a favor. Check out the podcast. Listen to the podcast. It is up now. So listen, if you can't catch me live on video, you can always listen to me on audio on the podcast. You can find it in the iTunes store. Let me pull it up for you real quick. It's called The Finance Rebel Show. You can find it on iTunes, Apple's Podcast, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts. You can find it all over the place. And matter of fact, Doing My asked me to put the podcast on Podcast Addicts. And I found out, just doing some brief research, quick Google search, it was already up there. I didn't do it. I don't know how it got up there, but it is being distributed to Podcasting Addicts. So if anybody talks to Doing My, let her know that she was already covered. So now I'm talking Nubia. Yes. Listen, the continent had more jewels and gems and discoveries and technology than the world has even imagined at this point. And that's a fact. But, folks don't want to do it. So do me a favor, y'all. Listen to the Finance Rebel Show. Download it on your phone. Listen to it as you go along. I am here to increase the financial IQ of those in the Black community, basically to make money easy, y'all, right? Everybody says money's boring, money's not fun. Let's make it fun. Y'all know I crack jokes here. I'm not a comedian, right? So I ain't saying I'm super funny, but I get a couple off here and there. So Allison Thompson says, yes, the Nubians were the first inhabitants of Kemet. Yep. So I'm glad I got that right. I'm glad I got approval. My grandmother will be proud. Her brother's name was Cush. Right. Y'all do some research on Cush as well. Another sub-Egyptian or pre-Egyptian society in the continent. So Cush, Nubia, and Kemet kind of all existed. I don't want to say around the same time. I know there was a timeline between them, but I can't think of what it is right now. But again, y'all, listen. Go listen to the Finance Rebel Show. Give it a listen. Give it a review. There's some exclusive content up there as well. So everything that I do, I don't do on video. Some things I just do and put on audio, and I put it out on the podcast. So help me grow the podcast as well. Like, comment, and review that as well. And come back and tell me what you think. Y'all know I will be back Wednesday for Wealthy Wednesdays at 8 p.m. 8 p.m. I'll be back on Wednesdays. And y'all know every Saturday is the new time on Saturday is now noon. I don't know why I used to do it at 11:30, but it is now noon. So Malik Mana 45, thanks for joining. VH1 Danny, thanks for joining. I'm about to log off though. Y'all missed 2.5 hours of the show. But I'm glad y'all here. I appreciate y'all coming through, stopping through. Negotiate This. I like that name. Negotiate This. Thanks for joining through. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday. But listen, y'all, it's the weekend. It's a great time to review your expenses. It's a great time to review your income. It's a great time to put together a financial strategy for what you're going to do going forward in the future. Listen, your life is yours. You don't have to abide by the will of other people. What you do have to do, though, is you have to take ownership of your will, of your destiny, of your money, and of your control. It's yours. It's God-given. So don't just give it away to anybody else just because they want it, just because they want to put you in that position. Start getting serious, y'all. Start thinking about how you can grow this money, and then how you can grow money with your brothers and sisters in your family and in your community. So what does that do? That makes a better Black community over time. So just think about those things over the weekend. Y'all all have a great time. I appreciate you all for being here. Thank you again. And like I said, I will see you at the latest, because I might come back in on Wednesday. I know I'm going to do the Platinum Plan. We're going to analyze the Platinum Plan versus the Lift Every Voices Plan, and we'll talk about it then. I might try to come back tomorrow, but I'm not promising. But again, I'll see you all soon, and you all have a great day. So long. Y'all be blessed. Bye-bye. Later, folks.